Hello guys, I'm excited that you're in my Comp Religions class, and I wanted to do a little review of the syllabus so that we can save some time in class. So I'm going to ask you to follow with me, and we'll go over some of the requirements so that you know what to expect, and then we'll meet up on the first day and answer any questions. All right, this is a philosophy class, an upper division philosophy class, although it is my goal in life to take you through the comparative religions course and you don't even realize you're taking a philosophy class, because in real life most of you have not just said I can't wait to go to college and take a philosophy class. Most of you have been avoiding this requirement for a while. So I think in the 20-some years I've been teaching this, I have managed to get most students through this class and they don't even realize they're taking upper division philosophy. It'll be fun and informative. Now, I've put here a course description and course objectives. I would like you to read through those. You should always know what it is you're paying thousands of dollars to learn and how you can be learning those. I do want to highlight one USO here, University Student Outcome, and that is this: respect diverse religious, cultural, philosophical, and aesthetic experiences and perspectives. That's a super important one right now. We, as students at a Christian university, ought to be able to go and talk with, engage with people of other belief systems and faith traditions in a way that is winsome and helpful, and not in a way that is offensive. You may have noticed recently, at least in the United States, there's some presentations or representations of Christianity that are less than respectful of diverse positions, and we don't want to be part of that problem. I also want to highlight that this class is called Comparative Religions. It's standard fare at most universities, whether you're in Australia or New Guinea or over in the East Coast or at Harvard. You'll probably encounter a world religions course, because we think that understanding the major world religions is part of being an educated citizen of the world. And so, like all those universities, we offer comparative religions also. But one distinction is that ours is called comparative. And if we were in class together, I would ask somebody to step up and say, so what do you suppose we're going to be doing with the religions? And some bright scholar would say, we're going to compare them. Comparing is different than critiquing or criticizing or bashing. And so it really is with goodwill saying, oh, here's what's similar between these religions. Here's what's really different. And because we have to compare each religion to something, we're going to begin with Christianity. And so we're going to say, how does Christianity understand God, sin, salvation, these various categories? And then we'll move on to Judaism and Islam and say, well, what's similar about their understanding? What's very different? So that we can begin to build our understanding of these religions. And I'm going to have to help us as we compare, prevent maybe what's a tendency, I don't know, of critiquing and bashing. We'll talk more about that in a little bit and throughout the semester. All right, you can scroll on down if you have this open in another screen, because this is a very lovely syllabus, I think. It's so colorful. All right, I have written you a little love note here. Many of you will not get any other love notes this year, so you ought to read it. It might be your one and only. But I do want to point out this probably very familiar Bible verse to you. Jesus is speaking. It's recorded in the Gospel of John, and he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Now, I've chosen this verse for this class because it's really kind of a difficult verse to deal with in a class on comparative religions, because if you're a Christian like I am, and you believe that there's no salvation outside of Jesus, then we have to think about what does it mean and what's the value of studying other religions. And, of course, as a scholar of world religions, I think it's highly valuable to study with goodwill other religions. And I think it's very informative to me as a Christian to understand the distinctions of what I believe. But we'll have to think through as we move through this semester, how do we understand Jesus and his claims of being the singular way to salvation, and then many other truth claims. Over here I've got a really kind of wonderful and yet terrible picture of Jesus from the early church. And then here are your textbooks. Now, I do know that with you probably not being outrageously wealthy, you do have to ask the question, do I really need this book? And the answer is yes, you really do. Now, I have purposely chosen and stuck with two very inexpensive textbooks. They are not the best textbooks in the whole world. They would be found at most colleges with an introductory kind of course on world religions. So the William Young book here it's not a Christian textbook or anything. It's just a standard. You'd probably find it over at RCC or another local college. And it's simple. It's very inexpensive, and any edition will do. Don't have to find the latest, greatest edition. All they do is change the pictures, change the font, and charge you more. Turns out, Buddhism has not changed all that much, so we don't need to update it all that much. This is not like science, where every 2 weeks we have to have a new edition. So just get a cheap, used edition. You do need it, though, because the midterm and the final exam comes directly from the books. I can only deliver so much information in lecture, especially now that we've kind of got this modified system going for this semester. So I am relying on you actually reading some of the detail and examples in your textbook to fill in the gaps that I'm going to experience by not having quite as much time with you. And then the second little book, honestly, I think you can get it for under $1 or $2 used. It is not a great book, but it's important for you to have it because, again, I'm taking questions directly from it. If we were in class together, I would hold it up and show you. I'm looking for my copy right now, but you can look at it. At the end of each very short chapter is a table that compares Christianity to the religion it's talking about. Fritz Ridenour wrote this little book actually for like churches who are sending out short-term mission teams who might be going to, let's say, Indonesia, and they need a quick chapter or two on a couple world religions. And so it's really written even for like a high school level, but it goes through the basic claims, and then that last section is why I use this book. It will say, okay, so what's the difference? Hence the title. And it'll say, okay, their understanding of God, this versus Christian understanding of God. The reason I use it is it helps you see a model of this comparative element. I also use it because the first 3 chapters are about the 3 branches of Christianity, and he does a very good job, better than the Young book, in helping us sort through the larger family of Christians, which include Protestant, Catholic, and Orthodox. It is a biased book. Fritz Ridenour is a particular type of Christian, and so he'll present Protestant evangelical Christianity as the best representation of Christianity. But I want you to have that comparative element. So it's $2 or $3 used online. Get it, and you'll need to use it for preparing for your exams. All right, scrolling down. Let me scooch this box over here. Now, this is what everyone wants to know. Like, what do I have to do to, hey, look at that. I'm putting my recorded head on my picture head. It's so great. What do I have to do to get a good grade? Here I have a little disclaimer that we're going to be a little bit flexible here. So normally I do make attendance the largest chunk of change in this class. I have heard students criticize attendance, like, oh, it's so very high school to require people to come. I shouldn't be required to come. I disagree. And the reason is we are preparing for the professions. Most of you are going to college in part so that you can get a good job. It turns out any job I have ever had, I have had to attend. I've had to show up. I can't just say, well, attendance is not really important. If I were just to stay home, I wouldn't get paid. And so we're preparing for the real world here. And so your job is this class. You're coming. I need to pay you. And so I pay you in points towards your final grade. And if you stop showing up, I'm going to stop paying you. You will be fired. F for fired. Now, obviously, we have to be a little flexible right now, and so you are expected to attend during our class time online. I'll show you in a little bit. I do give everybody some absences, some free absences. Hopefully you don't need to use them for illness, but we want to make sure that you're healthy. But because we're doing this online, even if you are a little sniffly, you can be at home and be checking in. I do give a midterm and a final. I'll give you details about that later and prepare you well. And I'm going to go over some of these other items in just a minute. But basically, there's not a lot to do in this class. This is, if you've taken a class with me before, it was probably much harder. This is my easiest class. I don't like to grade work, and it turns out y'all don't like to write it. So I figure let's just be in agreement that you'll show up, you'll take some exams, and there is one written assignment, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. Hey, back to this attendance issue. The other reason I put so much weight on attendance is because this class, and actually much of our educational system, is predicated on the belief that I, your professor, know some stuff that you, the student, don't yet know, but you need to know. And so the teaching work is about how do I transfer what's up in here from a quarter of a century of studying it to your brain. And until we have like thumb drives that just pop from my head to your head, we have to do this orally. So I'm telling you stuff that you need to know. The assumption is I know it, you don't know it yet. And so the most efficient and effective way is if I just tell you, and you're on my virtual classroom and I can see that you're connecting, I can see you're engaging, you're asking questions, then I know that you know what's going on. The other option is you can study it on your own and I can test the socks off of you. That's the other way for me to verify that you know what I want you to know. Most students really just prefer to be in the lecture, looking at me, nodding, asking questions, and then I say, hey, she attended, she must have got it. And so that's why I put so much weight on attendance. All right, let's scooch on down. If you need to get a hold of me, don't come. Apparently, you're not supposed to come to campus. You can come if you want. I'd love to see you. But email is obviously kind of the way we're talking around today. And my phone. I will be holding all of my office hours in my office, so you can call my office, and I'm happy to speak with you. If you email me, it's very helpful to put which class you're in, because I have 7 classes this semester, almost 300 students, something like that. So it's really makes it easier if you say, I am in comparative religions on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that. Here's my question. All right. I've given you some interesting data about world religions. I've been at CBU for 25 years, and my husband is a pastor and also adjuncts here, and I have a son here and a daughter who will be coming here shortly. All right, let's get back to what you need to do. I'm going to try to keep my face off of the words. As I've said, attendance is super duper important, and so I'm going to just maintain my normal attendance policy, but attendance is going to be virtual now. You need to show up. I will take attendance every single day, and every single week I will post your attendance to Blackboard. If you see that it's not quite right, can you let me know with an email so that I can update it? If you're not there, you do need to figure out how to get any information that I have. Now, one thing I'm probably going to do, assuming technology helps me, is I'm going to record the lectures, since apparently we can do that, and I'll put them in an archive. So that would be something I'm going to a training today to see about how to do that. So we'll get back to you on that. Now, I do give everybody some free absences. So for the Tuesday, Thursday section, you get 3 free, where it just doesn't count against you. So in Blackboard, I code it to drop out the 3 lowest attendance scores. For the Monday, Wednesday, Friday group, you get 4 free absences. They will not count against you. However, they will still show a 0 in the grade book. But that's okay, because in the algorithms that I use to spit out the final grade, it already knows to drop out the 3 or the 4 lowest scores in your absence column or in your attendance column. So it's helpful if you don't email me. If you really were absent, and then I have a 0 there, and then don't email me and say, well, this is one of my free ones. Please take the 0 out. The 0 is going to stay there, but it won't affect your grade. But it will affect your grade if we get into 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. I've had people who got 17 absences. Then it's obviously going to affect your grade a lot. Because if attendance is 38% of your grade, and we only have, 30 or so meetings, each day is like 1%. So, again, be present with me. And as you'll see here, that present doesn't just mean you're logged on and sleeping. I do expect your camera to be on at all times. I'm trying to make this as real life as possible. So please leave it on. And so I've written a little section about classroom etiquette. Normally I have to talk about what we're going to do in a physical classroom, and I actually have to tell people no kissing experience. But I don't think I have to tell you that now, but I do need to tell you some things. So I'm going to spend some time here. You need to be dressed and alert. I would really prefer if you're not laying in your bed. I mean, in spring when we were all just adjusting to this and first time through, it was okay. But now this is what we're doing. So please be dressed as you would if you were coming to school, not in your pajamas. I really would prefer not that you're not on an exercise equipment or lounging in your pool. That was something we tolerated in the spring, but now this is a little different. So be in full learning mode in front of a computer with adequate technology, please. And then the animals, the screaming children, whatever, needs to not be part of your learning environment. So you've had time to kind of set that up. Please have that be conducive to learning. And the backgrounds and the eating. If you need to eat, that's fine, but just realize that when we're on these screens together, I can zoom in, or your colleagues can really see you, and we don't want to be distracting or or embarrassed or rolling our eyes. So do keep your cameras on. Obviously, in class, I would say no phones, no laptops. A little different. You're on your laptop probably, but don't be having these other conversations. It's pretty obvious how that goes, and that means you're not able to attend to what's going on in class. And so I just am, kind of watching, and if I see a pattern of either distracting or inattentive behavior, I just jot down the name. This is the wonderful thing about WebEx, is it actually has your name on your box. So in the olden days, I kind of had to figure out who that was. Now you're labeled. I'll just jot down your name and then remove attendance or partial attendance for that day. So just like you would in regular class, be attentive. If you're so tired that you cannot go to school, even online, then get better sleep at night. Go to bed earlier. Do something so that you're not so tired. But I need you all there. In fact, I need you extra there. Brain needs to be really attentive because we've got this kind of strange situation. I know that looking at a computer screen all day is not very fun. I don't like it either. I find you much less interesting when I'm watching you on a screen than when I'm in real life with you. But that's okay. We are professionals and we can, overcome that. All right, readings. If you do the readings as they're scheduled, I would think in less than 2 hours a week you can knock it out, really, unless you're a very slow reader, in which case 2 hours. But I'm going to put 2 to 4 hours, which is still under the amount of time we expect for an Upper Division 3 unit course. There will be some assignments that I'll talk about shortly, and that will take you a little bit of time here and there, but there's really not too much homework, which means you really do need to stay up with whatever I have going for you. All right, I am a lecturer, especially now, but even when we were in classrooms together, I don't like group work, and I'm guessing most of you are not like, yes, I love group work. I love pooling our ignorance. I love paying $5,000 so that I can learn what my colleague doesn't know either. So I'm not a big group work fan. I like to just tell you what I know and what I want you to know. And so again, lectures are important. What's also really important is your interaction. So I can do talking head very well. I have many recorded lectures, which are like this one, where you don't get to interact. But when we are on WebEx together, I need you to unmute and speak out or raise your hand or whatever we decide will be the cue for engagement, because otherwise it's just painfully boring for you and for me. So please, this is your time to be bold and engaged. I do use Blackboard entirely for all of your lecture notes, all of your grades, all of my announcements. Your tests will be on Blackboard, all of that. So make sure you're staying up to date on Blackboard. There's a midterm and a final. I will very well prepare you for the midterm and final. We'll talk about that. Now, you saw on the grading thing, let me put my face, well, I guess my face is just going to be right there, that normally we would do what every university does when they teach world religions. They go and visit places. They go to a mosque. They go to a synagogue. This is an important part of saying, yeah, you know how to engage with people of different traditions and different faith commitments and be civil and polite and respectful and joyful and all that. Well, just like churches, synagogues and temples and mosques are also shut down right now, so we can't go. I'm hoping that sometime during the semester they will open up, or we'll find cases of outdoor ones, but even the outdoor ones have very limited attendance requirements. So if I bring 50 students and there's only 30 people allowed, it really does make a problem. So we're going to have to really flex on this one. I'm sad that we don't get to do field trips. Historically, at the end of the semester when I asked the students, where did you learn the most and what was the best part of your experience? 100% of the time they say field trips. They kind of were like, I don't really want to go at first. They were moany groany. And then we go and they just realize, wow, this is amazing to finally be able to go to a mosque or a Hindu temple to see this. And it's not something we would normally do on our own. So I'm very disappointed that we can't do this. But we're going to try to make some alternative assignments. I've already been talking with a variety of faculty, staff, and community members, and we're putting together some virtual interactive things that could be in smaller groups so that you can have experience with practitioners or online opportunities. Now, I do want everybody to go to a church, a Christian church. If you're a Roman Catholic, go to your Catholic church. Maybe you're doing it online, fine. Maybe you're doing it outside, fine. If you're Protestant and you're a regular attender, go to your regular church. I don't want pastors calling me and saying, how come my worship leader had to miss church because she went on a trip for you? If you do not have a home church that you go to, then find one that's having an outdoor service. I prefer an outdoor because I feel like this semester you have so much online stuff. It's just really not, you don't need any more online stuff. So my perfect world, you will find an outdoor service, an outdoor mass. I know several Catholic churches around are doing outdoor masses, particularly with the communion mass. So find something outdoors. If you cannot find anything outdoors, well, then that means you're kind of not working too hard. But you can come to my church. We have an outdoor service. It's under some tents. We have fans and swamp coolers, so it's not miserable. And so find one. I do want this one to be required. Then we're going to offer some different opportunities. I'll have to tell you about these as they become more clear. Like I said, I'm meeting with people, figuring out how to do these. You're going to need to attend 4 of these events. Most of them will be online. Hopefully the Christian church will be outdoor service, and maybe some others will open up. What you do is whenever they come around, or you can do the Christian one Sunday if you want. You go, you're not telling me, oh, I mean, you could tell me what they did. Like they did this, they did that. But really what I'm wanting is just like a 1 page or the better part of a page reflection. Here's where I went. Here's what I did. Here's what they sang or why, and just reflect on what they did. I do need to know with the church one, which church, what day, all that. But it's not academic writing. It's just what you would tell your mom, like, oh, what'd you do today? Oh, I went to church and this was what they did. So it's just a way for me to document that you went. Keep that, save that into a Word document. When you do the second one, you can do a page break and then write up how that went and what you learned and gained from that, and then save that. And then the third one, put a page break, say, oh, I did the Buddhism one, here's what we did. And then the fourth one, and then at the end of the semester, I'll have a link, and you can upload that, and that's how I'll give you credit for doing this experiential learning. And in the meantime, pray that things open up so we can actually go. They're so wonderful. All right, so that's kind of a flex. I don't have a reading schedule because I don't know how long it's going to take for us to get through stuff in this other format, this video format. So I don't have dates here. But what I do have is, here's the basic topic that we're going to have. Here's the chapter in your books that go with that topic. And this is what the exam will be over. So you can see Young is the book by William Young. Ridenhour is So What's the Difference by Ridenhour. For Christianity, you will need to read those 3 chapters in Ridenhour and the chapter 11 in Young. When we get to Judaism, you'll read these 2 chapters. And then we have a midterm, and you can use all of your notes. I'll talk more about the midterm when we get there. But yes, you can use all notes. You may not use textbooks. You're not going to want to use textbooks. It will run you out of time. But we'll talk more about that. All right, I'm zipping down here. I might save that for when we're in person. So that's my spiel. I'm going to come up here and go to the top again. That's my spiel for our class right now. And I hope this answers a few questions. Here's what would help me. As you have watched this, you might have questions. Write them down. Save them for our first class meeting. Probably don't email them to me unless it's something you really need to know ahead of time, only because I'm just inundated by emails, and I'll probably have 14 of the exact same one. So on the first day of class, I'm probably going to say, hit me with your questions so that we can really review that together. All right, I look forward to seeing you. I am praying for you. Please pray for me. This is not the easiest start of a school year, but it's kind of interesting. All right, talk to you later, guys.